Ladies and gentlemen, this is the tax guy. My name is Washira Joseph. I'm a tax consultant working with KRA Tax Consulting. It's a tax consultancy based in Nairobi. So today I'll be taking you through the taxation of rental income, and with a more emphasis on the provisions of the Finance Act of 2020 and how it's actually affecting how you're supposed to file your returns from 2021 going forward until we have a revision of that act. And then after that, I'll be showing you the two regimes that you can choose to belong to under this category of the rental income tax. And then after that, I'm gonna do an analysis, a case study analysis, and we see what taxes you would have paid in each scenario, so that it can help you to know which tax regime saves you money, which costs more money, and you can make from an informed decision which of the regime you want to belong. And for those in a hurry, you may be in a hurry, just get used the timestamps. And for the best viewing experience of this video, consider watching it in high definition, that is 720 and above. With that said, shall we begin? Okay, so rental income tax. Now, we've got two regimes for this. We have the annual regime and we have the monthly regime. What these regimes mean is that you can file your taxes monthly, or you can just choose to file your taxes annually. Now, when you come to the monthly rental income tax, there are certain criteria that you need to meet for you to file here. And this criteria, number one, state that you must be running residential property, not commercial, residential property. If you're running commercial property, then those are taxed elsewhere under the VAT Act, not here. Number two, your income needs to be between 288,000 and 15 million per year. Underline that, per year, because it's not per month. So if you're expecting that your incomes are gonna span between 288 and 15 million, then you qualify to file your taxes under the monthly regime. Now, if your taxes fall below 288,000, let's say 250,000 in a year, and you feel like you want to file your rental income under monthly and not the yearly or the annual regime, you can still elect to do that. But if your taxes are above 15 million, you cannot do that. Now, this is according to the Act of 2020, the Finance Act of 2020. You cannot do that. Prior to that, the ceiling used to be 10 million per annum, but now it's 15 million per annum. Now, if you don't fall under this regime, under this category that you've seen here, then what you're supposed to do is to file your taxes under the annual regime. So if you fall below this and you're above 15 million, then you can file your taxes under the regime of the annual regime. But you're gonna look into all that. You're gonna look into the annual regime, how it goes, and so on and so forth. Now, the rate for the monthly rental income tax is 10% of the total rent that you're collecting from your tenants. You're not allowed to deduct even a single expense. So let's say that you collected maybe 100,000 from your tenants, and that month you had renovations that you're doing. You're doing paint work, you're doing some repairs. Let's say they were totaling to around 50,000. You're not allowed to deduct them from the 100K that you're receiving from your tenants. Okay, it's illegal to do that. All right. Number two, rental income is normally paid when you receive the actual cash, not according to the number of months. Let's say that you have tenants who pay you quarterly, others pay you monthly, others pay you semi-annually or even annually. So what you do is that if you receive your money monthly, or let's say you receive your money quarterly, what you're supposed to do is take that money that month you've received it and actually file that month. So the other months that you've not been receiving anything, just file nil. But when you receive the lump sum cash, take 10% of that and pay as the rental income for that month, the rental income tax for that month. Don't forget that. That's very important. This tax should be filed on 20th of the following month. For instance, I'm doing this video in March. So let's say you are correcting the rent of March. So the tax for the month of March will be paid in April by 20th. Make sure you do that, because if you don't, then you'll be attracting penalties. Okay, so don't forget that. That date is very important. Now, there are penalties if you don't file the rental income on time. Now, if you're an individual and you file late, maybe let's say you had delays and so forth, you'll be charged a fine of 2,000 per month or 5% of the tax that you are supposed to pay, whichever is higher. So let's say that that 5% is something like 5,000. So instead of taking 2,000, KRA will penalize you with 5,000. So you're going to pay the highest between the two. And for companies, they pay a penalty of either 20,000 or 5% of the tax they were supposed to pay that month, whichever is higher. All right. Now, if you file your rental income properly, but then you delay in paying, okay, then you'll be attracting some penalties, and that penalties is 5% of the tax due, the tax you're supposed to pay, and then 1% as interest for every month that you delay in payment until you pay the whole amount in full. So mark that and don't forget that. That is pretty important. When we come to now the annual rental income tax, this is also interesting because the annual regime allows you now to deduct the expenses that you incur in running your building. Let's say you have renovation, you have painting, you have some work in that building. Okay, so this regime allows you to deduct those taxes, and once you deduct those taxes, generally you remain with the profit, because rent minus expenses, you remain with the profit that you made for that year. Then if you're an individual, that rate is normally taxed under the graduated scale, which I'm gonna show you. And if you're a company, then you pay under the corporate tax. The corporation tax is 3%, and then you'll be good to go. All right. I want to do an analysis here, by the way, and in this analysis, I want us to look at this taxpayer, a landlord here, also a taxpayer, and I want us to see this person is having two properties. One property is having 5 units and it's charging 20,000 per month, and in 12 months he will have corrected 1.2 million. He has another property B and he's charging 15,000 per month. In 12 months he'll have received 1.8 million, and for that whole year the sum of these two is gonna be 3 million. Now this person has also incurred these expenses in running maintaining this building. He's paying the land rates, insurance. He's paying agent fees. He's doing some repairs. He's financing a loan that he took to construct that building. So the loan interest for the whole year is amounting to this. And he has electricity bills to pay. And all these expenses are amounting to 365,000. Now, if you less these expenses from the gross rental income for that year, this taxpayer is making a profit of 2.6 million. Now, we want to see under the two regimes, which one, or let's first of all see under the two regime, how much would this taxpayer be paying? Now, we can begin with the easier one, which is the monthly regime. And monthly regime, remember what we said, you're not allowed to deduct these expenses. Okay, in a month, this building would be paying this taxpayer is correcting how much? 5 units times 20, that is 100,000 in unit A, and in unit B he's correcting 15,000 times 10 units, so he's collecting 150,000. all right, and if we take our calculator here, we see 10% of that is how much? 100 plus 150 is 250,000. So if he's correcting 250,000, then in a year he'll be paying 10%. I mean, in a month he'll be paying 10%, and that means he'll be paying taxes of 25,000 every month. Okay, now this one in a year times 12 months is going to translate to 300,000. Okay, instead of going through all this process, we can just take 10% of the gross rent for the whole year and do that. This is gonna be 10% of 3 million, this one here, right? And that taxpayer is gonna be paying 300,000 for the whole year, a cumulative of 25,000 every month, if he's falling under the monthly regime. Now let's see if this taxpayer elected to remain or to operate under the annual regime. If he was a company, let's say he runs a company and he has shifted his apartment in that company, and he opts to pay taxes under that company, well, he will be allowed to deduct these expenses amounting to 365,000, and he will be required to pay 30% of the profit. All right, so in this case he'll be paying 30% of this. All right, and he'll be paying 790,500. Now, if he were an individual under the annual regime, how much would this person be paying? Okay, and I've done that calculation here. So this one, remember what we said, we say the individual falls under the graduated tax scale. All right, and the graduated tax scale is this one that I'm showing you right here. This is the tax scale. So the first 24,000 will be taxed under 10%, the next 8,000 under 25%, and anything in excess of 388 per year is going to be taxed under 30%. So I've done that computation right here, and this tenant of ours will be paying, let me write that here. So it is this one that I've done here. So I've input the whole profit of 2.6, and the tax on that is 727,900. Okay, we can go back to our thing again. Need to disable this, alright. Nice. So if we come here, this taxpayer under individual will be paying 727,900. Now let's assume that that is the only income that this taxpayer had, and he has to qualify for the personal relief for the whole year, 28,800, and at the end of the day this taxpayer will be paying 699,000. So under the three scenario, two regime but three scenario, same case study, this taxpayer is paying different taxes. Now, because I'm asking you, if you want to pay less taxes, which regime are you gonna choose here? I'm giving you 3 seconds to tell me which one you wanna choose. One, 2, 3. Which one are you choosing? Because me, I'm choosing this one any day of the week, because I'm paying less taxes in that regime. But if you don't care about money, dude, you can come here, man, and just pay your taxes here and feel bad. So you can use the same method to analyze your case study and see, maybe a certain year I have a lot of renovations that I'm doing in my building, and you estimate your expenses are gonna be many. You may think of choosing the annual regime for the company or for an individual instead of the monthly regime. But with my analysis for a long time, not many scenarios are able to beat this one. Not many are able to beat this one. But as always, this is not financial advice. Every case is different. Consult your tax advisor. And should I mention that I can be one? And now on to the final stage, and that is submitting the return. Pretty easy. Just come here, file return, select your tax obligation, and in this case you wanna pick income tax, rent income. Fill the relevant details here and the return period that you want to do. So in my case, let me do for February 01/02/2022, and in our case we realized that we have two properties according to our sheet here. Remember, we had two properties, right? And we input that we have two properties here, and the total rent income, for our case it was 250,000, right? And 10% of that is 25,000, right? And after that you can just submit, all right, and you will be good to go. Then you're gonna get a receipt, and then you can pay that either via M-Pesa or through bank. Folks, this has been a wonderful journey together and a wonderful training. I wish you all the best and that you remain tax compliant. If you need our services, tax advisory, tax preparation, and tax filing, we would be glad to serve you. Till next time, see you, my friend. and remember to subscribe. Be blessed. Joseph out.